Hi, third grade. This is almost our last math video. I only have three more math videos, including this one, to make for you this year. But I have lesson 119 today for your instructional video. This one is on adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators. And the objective is add or subtract fractions with different denominators and reduce the fractions when possible. So we want to list them as the smallest fraction possible for our answer. So there's a couple of steps in each of our problems today, and we're going to be using things that we learned about fractions in the last 2 weeks. We're going to use greatest common factor if we need to reduce. We're going to use least common multiple if we need to change fractions so that they have a common denominator. So we're going to be having fractions that do not have the same denominator. First, we're going to need to convert them into fractions that have a common denominator. Then we're going to need to add or subtract. Then when we look at our answer, we might need to reduce it after that. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And then this actually is going to be a good preview because tomorrow we're going to do the exact same thing, except for it's going to be mixed numbers. So it's not just going to be fractions. There's going to be some whole numbers in there too. Otherwise, it's the exact same lesson. So our worksheet says adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators. To add or subtract fractions that have different denominators, first rename the fractions so that they have common denominators, because you guys are so good at adding and subtracting fractions with common denominators, because you know I can ignore my denominator if they're the same. I can just put that right down into my answer right away because the denominator is going to stay the same. Then I can worry about my numerator and add or subtract that. The difference is these ones don't have common denominators. We need to make them common denominators first and then continue with the skills you guys are already great at. So the steps they give you are first, find the common denominator, find the lowest common denominator, look for that LCM, least common multiple, then rename. They say use the loop method, but we also learned that you can just look at whatever operation you needed to do to change the denominator to the common denominator and do the same operation to the numerator. That works too, depends on how what your brain is like. Everybody's brain is different. Then or add or subtract the renamed fractions, and you guys already know how to do that. You're really, really good at that part. We're going to go through a couple of examples. All right, so the example that they give you on the top is 2/3 plus 4/9. 2/3 plus 4/9. Am I in frame? Okay. Now, I do not have common denominators. 3 and 9, I can't just add my 2 and my 4 because my denominator is not the same. So I'm going to need to change these to fractions that have common denominators. And so I'm going to have to look for the lowest common denominator. What's the smallest denominator that they would both have in common? My least common multiple. And that's what I'm going to have to use to change these. So I can look down my multiplication chart. I could look down the threes line, the threes row, or down the threes column. Look across the nines row or down the nines column and look for the smallest number that they have in common. Now remember, every number is also a multiple of itself, because identity property 1 times any number is itself. So if I look down my threes column, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. If I look down my nines column, 9 is a multiple of itself, 9, 18, 27, 36. So 9 is the LCM. It's the least common multiple. That's the lowest common denominator. I'm going to be looking at 9 for my common denominator. We really luck out on that one because this one already has a denominator of 9. So I don't need to do anything to change that one. It's still 4/9. But I do need to fix this one. And I could use cross multiply and divide. I could use loop method. I could say 9 times 2 is 18. And then 18 divided by 3 is 6. So my new numerator is 6. I could also say, hey, what did I have to do to the 3 to make it a 9? I had to multiply by 3, so I need to do the same to 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Still get the same answer either way. Now that these are common denominators, I've got a 9 and I've got a 9, now I can add them. I know that my answer is going to need to have a 9 for a denominator. I want to pay attention to my operation because you have addition and subtraction on this worksheet. So I need to make sure I know I'm adding. 6 plus 4 is 10. So that is my solution, but I'm not done because the instructions are to give it in the simplest possible form. And I have a top-heavy fraction here. I have an improper fraction. So I'm actually going to have to simplify this and give my answer as a mixed number. Remember, to find your mixed number, you need to divide your numerator by your denominator, and then your remainder is the new numerator. So I'm going to say, here's 10 and 9. 9 can't go into 1. I need a placeholder. 9 can go into 10 one time. 1 times 9 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. 1 is my remainder, so it's going to be 1/9. My answer will be 1 and 1/9 would be the simplest possible form. That would be the correct answer. We're going to try a subtraction one. Let's try 3/4 minus 1/2. Well, this is actually an example from your worksheet, so I'm giving you a freebie, but I'm not telling you which number it is. You're going to have to figure that one out. So I need to have common denominators because 4 and 2 are not the same. So I'm going to think about my number rolls for my 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm going to think about my number rolls for my 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. 4 is a multiple of 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 is a multiple of 2. 2 times 4, or 2 times 2 is 4. So my common denominator, my lowest common denominator, my LCM is 4. So I don't need to change this one. I can just put that 3 over there. We're good to go. I do need to figure out what my new numerator is on here. So I'm going to say 4 times 1. 4 times 1 is 4, identity property. Then 4 divided by 2 is 2. My new numerator is 2. So now I have 3/4 and 2/4. I'm subtracting. My answer will have 4ths as a denominator. 3 minus 2 is 1, and I can't reduce that any further. So my answer is 1/4. Now, a little bit of a cheat code. All of your problems on the worksheet today have one of your fractions that already has the LCD, least common denominator. So you will have at least one fraction in every problem that you do not need to convert. So that's going to make this a little bit easier the very first time that we're doing this concept. Also, on your worksheet, if you need to have just a fraction for your answer, you have just a fraction on the worksheet. If you need a mixed number for your answer, you have a mixed number spot on your worksheet. If you need a whole number for your answer because it's a fraction that can reduce to 1 or to 2, then you would just have one big box for a whole number on your worksheet. So look at how it's set up on that Google slide, and it's going to help you know, is your answer going to be a fraction, a mixed number, or a whole number? And then we're going to continue this tomorrow with mixed numbers that don't have common denominators.